Hello, and welcome to ResiCast episode 83, I think.
Big 8-3.
Is that right? Yeah.
That is correct.
I don't know if that's a big episode or not, but that's what we're
No.
on.
We're going to go with it.
So as of right now, it's just me and Triton. Lego should be joining us soon. Mana is streaming. And yeah, that's it this week. We got a lot to talk about, so you're going to have to hear Triton's opinions for once, because I can't talk to myself for an hour and a half. Also,
that's debatable.
if I look actually, yeah. Ooh, maybe I can just make this my monologue episode without
You could do that. You could do that.
Also, if I look any more ridiculous than usual, it's because I woke up at 9:53 p.m. Eastern on my couch, and we are supposed to start this at 10 p.m. Eastern. I would like to give a big shout out to Dewey McDewerson, who, forgetting that I had the podcast, was incessantly calling me on the Steam or on the Discord app, and I'm pretty sure that's what woke me up. So, thanks to Dewey for
shout out Dewey,
getting me on the podcast tonight. But anyway, Triton, what's up? How's your week? What's been going on?
Pretty good week overall for the for Destiny here. I finished up Iron Banner. I was able to complete that Seasonal 2 reward, so you had to play like 30 games to get the Season 2 rewards, so I wrapped that up pretty much all in this Iron Banner. I enjoyed it so much. So I've been doing that. I think last time I did say I got the Titan through the story, the Curse of Osiris story, and I'm trying to get the Warlock through this story as well, with the Warmind just right around the corner. So trying to get all of those things caught up. And yeah, been enjoying the some of the changes, excited for the future changes. And that's pretty much been my week in Destiny. What about you?
Well, I really enjoyed Iron Banner. That was just this week, right? This past week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Work's been crazy. I'm kind of all out of it. I really did enjoy Iron Banner, and I played a good bit of it the first few days. Except then God of War came out. And that consumed a lot of my time because it is amazing. I've never played a God of War game before. I always thought they looked cool. I'm a big fan of just like mythology in general, whether it be Greek, Roman, or in this case, Norse.
Mm-hmm.
But I always really found that interesting. All the the gods and them all fighting and all the crazy shit that went on. So,
well, what does it play out as? So I was trying to think. Like, I've also never played a God of War, despite always being a PlayStation owner. Now, I gave Horizon a chance, right? And it was great. Is it kind of that open world action game? Yeah, that is where you think like you should probably play the handful of staple games that are available for the PlayStation, but that's one I've never played.
I never played Horizon, but I wouldn't call it. It's not quite open world. Like, if you're talking like GTA level of open world where there's just this giant, world and you just run around wherever you want, it's not quite like that. I'd put it more like, actually in a lot of ways it reminds me of Uncharted.
Okay, another one I actually have never played.
That's my favorite game series of all time. I don't even think there's anything that comes close to it. I mean, Destiny I've played more just because of the style of it, but as far as like just pure enjoyment and how well done a game was, the Uncharted series was always my favorite. It kind of reminds me of that because it's kind of it's third person, rotating camera. Mm-hmm. You can look around. Obviously, you have an axe and not guns, but still, just in the you can roll around to evade. It's like pseudo open world. Like, there's a very clear way that you're supposed to go.
Okay, that is how Horizon is a little bit.
But then, maybe this big area has 2 or 3 other paths, and they only go a couple hundred yards. But then they unlock it's just there's something to do down there, and then you come back and you explore over here and find some stuff and come back, and eventually you can end up going, or you can just skip all that and go straight towards the way you're supposed to.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it also has, definitely some RPG type of elements to it. You have to upgrade, you have your axe and you can upgrade the axe itself, the axe handle. You can place enchantments on your axe. You can upgrade your shield. You can upgrade your armor by finding all these different currencies and parts of different mysterious creatures and, just all this different stuff. And that actually, for literally just carrying around an axe, becomes fairly in depth. As far as having to upgrade things.
Well, can you like unupgrade something? So, I mean, just thinking of the, having not played it, can you like if you're gonna fight a certain type of enemy, can you equip certain things that are good against them and then unequip it
Yeah,
for
it's. I mean,
that type of thing?
some of the stuff like each individual piece, you can just do a straight like. There's just an upgrade button. So like if you
Okay.
have an axe handle that's called the whatever, and it's a level 1, you
Hmm.
can upgrade that piece a couple times, and maybe it
Okay.
becomes a level 2 or whatever. And at that point, it's a level 2. But say you're like, you have this level 1 axe handle, and then you go out and you craft or find or buy a level 3 axe handle and put it on. Your level 1's still there, and you can put it back on.
Oh, okay.
And same thing with like some of the enchantments. Like there's these runic things that you do. Like it's like your like magic attack, and they all like kind of do different things. And like one of them I had up to like a level 2, and it's kind of an AOE effect. You slam the ground and it damages everyone around you. Then I got this other one that was a higher level, and I was like, oh, I'll use that. And it was kind of like my heavy magic attack, And it was like 3 smashes, except they're all in front of you. So like it wasn't as good as like a oh shit type of attack. Like there's people all around me. So even though it was
Hmm.
lower level for the time being, I went back to like the AOE one.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I mean, it reminds me of Uncharted a lot in the cinematic. Like the storytelling's really cool. And like I said, maybe I'm just a sucker. I don't think the acting is nearly as good as Uncharted.
Okay.
Not that it's bad, but like Kratos as a character is this like super dry, like very monotone. Like that's what he's supposed to be. He's just kind of like
Right.
doesn't give a shit what anybody says. So
Hmm.
like this little kid's like, "Oh, Dad, like are we almost there?" And he just goes, "I do not know." Like over like that's just his character. So that's not a bad
Right.
thing, but like there's no Nathan Drake in it.
Okay. That makes sense.
So maybe as far as the story, maybe I'm just a sucker for the whole mythology side of things.
Okay. Now, is
But
that what kind of carries it? Like, so the Uncharted, I assume like games like that are single player only, that have those RPG elements, obviously gameplay and then narrative are what going to carry that. So even with his character being that way, is it still
yeah,
basically, is that what makes it good?
absolutely. Like I definitely like want to see what's next, and like you want to
Hmm.
complete the mission, like complete the story because of the things that you're doing, not so much just like, oh, I want to go do this stuff. Like you're like, who is that guy that attacked me? Like what's the mystery? Like what's going on? And who are
Okay.
these people? And why is this happening? And you know, uh,
Well, how many hours have you logged so far? Do you think, is it like a pretty long game? Like if you skip everything, are we talking like 15 hours doing everything, 40 hours?
I've heard 15 to 25 hours, I think, and I want to say that's just main quest.
Okay. That's not bad.
I mean,
15,
I've
25.
probably played about 20 hours, I would guess, and I don't.
Okay.
I think I'm only like half. And I've been doing a lot of the like the one part you go into a lake and you can see that you need to go straight ahead to this one door, but I circled the entire lake and found all the docks I could find to do like side quests.
Hmm.
Yeah, I gather I'm not very close to the end, just from talking to Wendler, because I asked him about this one part, and he was like, "Oh, do you mean this part or this part?" And none of them were
Okay.
things that I'd ever seen. So I'm gathered I'm about halfway, and I probably put about 20 hours into it. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I probably played about 5 hours each, and then like between
Okay.
Monday, Tuesday, and today, I didn't play today actually. But I love it, man. It's great.
That's pretty cool. I think 40 hours then total for like a single player game like that is pretty solid. I feel like you can get your money's worth. And then like I think that's what I ended up doing with Horizon, to pretty much platinum the game, which was basically do everything. I never went back to the DLCs, but I always felt like 40, 50 hours, you pretty much get your money's worth. And especially if it's mostly narrative driven for at least half.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole thing. Is like,
Hmm.
I mean, not to give any away, but the whole gist of it, you're a Greek god.
Hmm.
That's the basis of the God of War game as well. After the last God of War game, you killed everybody because,
You're the
that's,
God of
that's
War.
what you do.
Okay.
So now you're living. I don't know if it tells you where, but you're in like Norse country. So
Okay.
somewhere up in Scandinavia, presumably. And so now you're fighting like Norse gods and legends and blah blah blah. And you have a wife and a child. The child's with you the whole game. So
Right,
That's
yeah.
fine. Your wife has died. You don't know anything about her. You don't even see her. And you had promised her that you would take her ashes to the top of this mountain. And
Okay.
you keep telling your son at the beginning that he's not ready and he needs to learn and blah blah blah. And then you're forced not going to tell you why, but you're forced to leave right then. And he goes, well, we're going now. And the kid's like, I thought I wasn't ready. And he goes, well, get ready. And you start to make your way to the top of this mountain, and, you know, crazy shit ensues on the way, and you have to do other things.
Okay, I mean it seems reasonable enough. Now that's not a reboot then, so they didn't like reboot the series into you being a Norse god now. So you're just, you know,
you're old. You have a beard. Okay. You're growing old. You have a son. I mean, it's absolutely a sequel. I mean, it continues on from the other. Now from what I can gather, you don't need to have played any of the other games. They don't mention anything, like they don't reference anything that happened that I can tell that makes a difference. But yeah, it's very much a sequel.
Okay.
So yes, I recommend it 100%. Everyone should go buy it. It's one of the best games I've played. That type of game in a long, probably since Uncharted 4, because that's as much as, you know, I love Destiny, and that's the kind of game, like, as we'll talk about, that they're trying to get back to being a hobby type of thing. As far as like sitting down, playing a game, enjoying it, getting something out of it, Uncharted, God of War, like that type of like very narrative driven. Well, the graphics make it really good and believable. Narrative driven. It's just, that's my favorite. I love that kind of stuff.
Well, shifting back to Destiny here, then, when we talk about, I mean, like lifestyle games, you know, a lot of times narrative isn't really what we need. Although going into Destiny 2, right, that's what we all wanted. We wanted a better story, and I think for the most part they delivered. Do you expect, with all the changes they're trying to make, which I think most people are excited for things like that, the exotic updates, some of the other things we'll talk about as well, the things that we're already experiencing now, do you feel the narrative will be as strong as it was going into D2 and even the Curse of Osiris, or do you think the Warmind story might be, you know, maybe a little bland given all the other things they have to do?
No, because I mean, Warmind specifically, you know, the people from the summit that went to the summit and kind of Bungie themselves have really harped on the fact that Warmind is not going to include a lot of these changes. Like, this has been in development. Like, I would assume at least like the story and where it's going to go has been pretty much set since they did like the D2 vanilla story. Like, okay, this is going to be the story. This is going to be DLC 1. This is going to be DLC 2.
Okay.
So I would think Warmind would be about, you know, similar to the Curse of Osiris, in the sense of like how they tell the story and like how big it is as far as just straight missions and everything, which whatever, you know, I say what you will about the size of it. Size wise, it was about what I expected. It was just the fact that there was still no reason to do anything. We'll see if that gets fixed. But no, I would expect it to be pretty similar to Curse of Osiris.
And that was a pretty decent, when you talk about the length of how long, you know, the DLC itself. I feel, having replayed those recently, you got like 6 or 7 story missions, plus, you know, whatever kind of artificial boost come from the adventures in there too. So overall, I thought it was pretty decent. Now, that didn't bring us a game mode, right? It's not like, you know, like, remember House of Wolves brought us like the what the heck is it? The Trials. What was the one before that brought us the not the raid, but it was the other thing where we fight Prison Elders. So we didn't get anything like that in Curse of Osiris. So I don't know. I haven't seen anything that will get in that regard, right? There's nothing that's planned that's going to be.
I think there's like a horde mode coming. It's called Escalation Protocol. It's like I think it's set up like a public event, but it seems to be like a 7-wave of increasing difficulty horde mode.
Okay.
Which, like I said, we'll get to when we start talking about the reveal stream and whatnot. Trying to wait. Lego should be here soon. I don't want to dive too deep into things before he shows up. And also, I really am kind of hoping that, like, when he gets here and he's like, oh, so what do you guys, you know, where are we? What are we talking about? And I'm going to say, we pretty much have just talked about God of War for the last half an hour. Where have you been to guide us? But no, I think, you know, story-wise, and here's the thing, like you were saying, like the length of it wasn't all that bad.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Well, here's the thing, and I've talked about this before. We're going to go the opposite. It's not the length that matters, Triton. It's the girth.
Oh, gosh.
And there was no girth.
Well, there certainly was no girth in terms of if that's going to be rewards or incentive to do it. Some of those were overly annoying early. Like, I feel like now doing those heroic adventures aren't that bad. But do you remember doing the first like heroic adventure, if you tried to do it by yourself when you were not 335, you were probably like 310? Those were really, really long because of the freaking everything was yellow bar. They weren't that fun. So I hope that there's not a lot of those.
It's funny though, because I think we praised them pretty heavily when they first came out, because one of the issues with vanilla D2 is that everything was so damn easy. And we were like, finally a challenge.
Having the challenge. I didn't like the time element. I think I've gone back recently and having to play them. There wasn't the timed element. Remember that one you had to like chase the Cabal through that maze thing and it was timed? I think that one happened to me again recently and you just had to kill the guy ultimately. You didn't have like that 2-minute countdown. So I think they augmented those things. And I'm more for the challenge of difficulty, less of like some time. I'm not really a big timed guy, so I am glad they fixed those things. So we'll see if they introduce more of those. But I'm not a fan of adventures in general. I think they're one of the worst things of Destiny 2, to be honest with you. Even though I think they tried to introduce... Don't you think
they're just story missions with new names, though?
I mean, but that's the problem with them is they're not really as good as the story missions, but they take you just as long to get them done. I don't find them to wrap into the narrative that the main story or the story that you're on, whether it be the DLC or the vanilla story, all that well. They kind of allude to future things or allude to other things that could happen, but you get a very pointed reward, which I think is the point of them, right? You get like either early on you could get a green weapon, or later on you can get like a legendary weapon or legendary armor set. So in that, or armor piece. So in that regard, they're okay, but they become obsolete really, really fast, and sometimes they're just not worth the amount of time it takes to do them. They're like not really in between patrols and story missions to me. They're way longer to what a story mission is, and I would have liked them to be more in the middle. I think that would have occupied a space that they don't have. Hey, here's a way that I can go get something that I know I'm going to get at least something of this category, and not take me 25 minutes on a story that they may never explore. I hope we don't get too many of them. I don't mind a couple of them. There's definitely going to be a few, but I thought in Curse of Osiris there was maybe more than I wish there were. More that you had to do, I felt, as opposed to being optional.
Real quick before we throw it over to our newly shown up host.
Well, hello.
I said real quick before I throw it over to you. Relax over there. Simmer down. I just want to say, Triton, if that's your opinion, I think you're going to be disappointed for the majority of Destiny 2 because adventures seem to be a pretty big part of the way they're doing things.
Well, does it mean they couldn't revamp them or make them a little bit different? Like I said, I was interested in the fact that they changed some of the really annoying elements to do them solo. But if the rewards get better, and that's kind of how we open the conversation, then obviously they're more incentive to do. But you get to a point in vanilla where like that green, primary weapon is just no longer that appealing once you hit level 10 and you start getting, rares. So hopefully if they scaled up to you a little bit would be interesting to me, or if they just honestly were a little bit shorter for the reward that's currently there would be nice.
Yeah, I think with Triton, what he was saying about the rewards, I think that's the main thing for adventures for me is if there's not a reward to go do them, then it's difficult to bring because I want to go and learn about that lore, but if it's not going to progress me at all as a character, then there's not enough motivation from a loot game to like want to go and do them. A lot of times I have tons of adventures that I haven't finished yet. Even though I'm kind of interested in them, it's like, well, I could just go play Crucible and progress the same amount. And I enjoy that, so.
Who are you? Again, I hear this new voice.
Oh, hi, this is Lego. Lego with Flash.
It's really good timing, Lego. This worked out really well. We just talked about God of War pretty much the entire time.
At least 18 minutes of God of War.
We just started talking about Destiny. It was only because Triton was like, oh, in that vein, Destiny, and we kind of like started talking about Destiny.
Well, that's then we realized that we needed to kind of like hold back on a few of the things that we were alluding to. Like, oh, well, let's just... adventures, and that's where you came in.
Well, I guess we'll adventure on over to the rest of the new Destiny 2 stuff.
Why don't you tell us how your week's been first?
Well, my week, it feels crazy, but it hasn't been because, finishing up Iron Banner, that was a lot of fun. But I felt like that was the beginning of my week was a lot of finishing up Iron Banner. And towards the end, I kind of drifted away from it, not because it wasn't fun. It still was fun. I just felt like, oh, that was fun for a little while. And then I started playing some other games, but I was almost like ready for reset almost in a way to like get me like, I don't know. Sometimes the Destiny reset on Tuesdays kind of rejuvenates the game for me, even though you don't get like I'm not excited about any new stuff or like I'm highest rank you could be, have all the weapons. It's more like, with these new unique strike rewards, I'm kind of always excited to see like, well, what's next? What's going to be the new thing this week or that week? So That's kind of where I'm at this week. Is kind of like we just hit reset. We're doing this podcast a little earlier, so I'm kind of like okay, what's next? What's the next thing? And we got all the Warmind stuff, so that's a real big thing.
I just real quick. I'm sorry. I just want to throw out there that I don't know if you believed me or not, Lego, but I woke up like 5 minutes before you were supposed to be here. And it's funny because I mentioned that at the very beginning of the podcast, but in the last like 2 minutes, two people, Heavy Metal Mama and Country, have both come into chat who weren't here when I said that. And Heavy Metal Mama said, "Oh, sleepy Hove," and Country said, "Hove looks like he's been on a week-long binge." That's why I was laughing. So yeah, I woke up, and I'm pretty sure the only reason I woke up, I told Triton and everyone, shout out to Dewey, because he was incessantly calling me on Discord to see if I wanted to play PUBG. And I woke up to like that annoying sound, and I was like, "Oh, that's Discord calling." And then I laid there for like another minute. I was like, "That's probably Lego trying to get a hold of me somehow. I should probably get up. I'm probably missing the podcast."
I actually, so I had a brief text exchange with Lego like an hour or two before the podcast, but the last thing Hove had put in there before I got any notifications was, "I'm out." So it got to around like 9:50, 9:55, and I'm like, "Ooh, is this gonna all be on me actually?" So I went in the other room to just distance myself from the whole thing, and then I came back around like 5 minutes till my notifications on my screen for like messages for Twitter, nothing was there, and I'm like, "Oh shit, maybe this is gonna be on me." So I got on my phone trying to research something, and then Hove's like, I finally saw the message pop up, and Hove's like, "Did you see my messages?" And I was like,
"Yeah," because I said,
"No,
Triton, do you know how to start the Hangout? Because like I'm sleeping. Please start the podcast. I'll be there in a minute." And he never answered me. But then when I sent the link to actually join, he just showed up and was like, "Hey," and I was like, "What? Did you not check your messages?" And he was like,
well,
"Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I blocked." I think that's the bigger issue.
Here's the deal. Like, Hove has said that he's not coming to the podcast so many times that, I would never believe him if he really wasn't coming. But not only that, I've thought about screenshotting and making a compilation, like going back in our history of messages to like make a compilation photo of how many times he said, "Yeah, I'm not coming," or
Yeah.
I'm sleeping, I'm out of town," like something that is not true. I just assume you're always.
I'm like a beacon of truth.
That sounds like an exotic weapon.
Yeah.
Destiny.
But anyway, I'm with you to a point. Like I kind of drifted away from Iron Banner as the week went on. But like I told Triton, it was more like I drifted away from it starting Friday.
Oh.
Because I couldn't stop playing God of War.
Okay, so my deal is I drifted away. What started it was the 8-man PUBG event. I felt like.
I forgot about that. That was probably my favorite. Like not just event, but since PUBG was new and exciting, that's probably the best thing that's happened in PUBG. That event was a ton of fun.
Yeah, and I wish Mana was here because what happened last week.
Well, we can just go over to his stream because he's just streaming.
Wait, but I don't want to spoil God of War if I end up getting the game. So,
well, here's the deal with PUBG. It allowed like you to have. It was kind of like what Destiny had been missing, where you could get all your friends in Iron Banner and all go play together. And that has been something really cool this week with Iron Banner. The same thing happened with PUBG because we had all these friends we couldn't ever play with. Multiple of us would be online at the same time, more than 4. And when we had 8, we were like, "Mana, get in here. Let's go play." And it was the second game. Mana got in. It
was our first. We died right away on the first game.
You're right. We died right on the first one. But basically our first full game.
Yeah.
We got first place. Mana had like 9 kills, and we all just like went all out. It was so much fun. So that event was a lot of fun, and that kind of started my draw away from Iron Banner. But it wasn't that Iron Banner wasn't fun. I
liked it.
Iron Banner and bringing all those people back. There was just a lot going on this week in gaming.
I still thought the rewards were kind of meh for that. I mean, I enjoyed playing with friends. Don't get me wrong. The seasonal 2 reward, I think, gave me the emblem, which shows how many, I think, packages you redeemed or something along those lines. But every time you get a reward, I understand you get like regular thing, you get an armor piece, but I already had all the armor pieces. So I was going for, I guess at that point, the ornament sets. Yeah. And one of them was like melee or grenade kill percentage.
Yeah. It was what? It was what?
One of the ornaments, I think you had to get either grenade kills or melee kills.
What kind of kills?
Melee.
Who?
Melee kills. So
I don't know. A lot of people say Super Smash Brothers melee.
I would say melee.
Well, a lot of people voted for Donald Trump.
But I only got like 8% into that, so I wasn't even close. And then I think the other one was like wins, and I think I was like 18 to 25. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to play another, well, at minimum 7 games. So at that point, I didn't think the incentives were that great. And then you never get 330 engrams almost. I always get like 327, 326, 328. So it was like, well, not even going to really be able to infuse some of the things I wanted. So that was kind of the point in which I didn't want to play, because I was playing solo for a while, play with friends for a while. I was enjoying it, but then I'm like, I'm never going to get anything I want.
I see.
It was, again, the rewards.
I think everything that's coming before Warmind, which is only like, a week away, so it doesn't really matter. But 2 weeks?
2 weeks?
2 weeks from yesterday, yeah.
So there's not that much time till then. And so I wasn't everything new is going to come with that. This was kind of like a bonus new thing. We got the 6v6 until they were able to really make a few changes. Even at Warmind, we're not getting a ton of, like, if you like Destiny 2 right now, Warmind will hold you over for a little bit. I don't know for how long, I feel like. But really what all the content creators are saying from the summit, which we haven't really talked about much yet either, is wait till September. Like, September is going to be the game changer. There's stuff that I can't wait to play. I don't know what these things are, but people are really excited and hyped about changes for that. It sounds like with Warmind, though, rewards are going to be a big thing, and the grind to get there, which y'all were talking a little bit about grind a second ago, and like the reasons for doing things. And I feel like for me as a Crucible player, Warmind sounding very appetizing, appealing, I don't know, whatever you want to say.
I love appetizers. Real quick, there's one other thing, since this has been like the God of War podcast for most of the time so far, and we were just saying that
appealing, I don't know, whatever you want to say. I love
appetizers. Do we hear that?
Yes.
That's not me.
Sorry.
Okay. I was like, I don't want to hear myself again. This is terrible. God, I lost my train of thought. Oh, so coming out even sooner than that is in 2 days, Infinity War.
Oh, yes.
And I just want to tell you, I had this entire situation play out in my mind, where I'm going to be on like the Tonight Show.
Okay.
Or, like, one of the late night talk shows. Because here's what's going to happen. This is one of those things, like, you start thinking about one thing and then you just kind of like daydream. So
I have no idea where this is going.
Gabe was talking to us on Twitter, HTX, from Rezo, and he kept saying he wants a Marvel only episode of the podcast, which I am not against. And actually, it sounds like Lego's not against. And he said he wants like 100 guests and he wants it to go on for 12 hours, like Infinity War. And I said that probably won't happen, but why don't we just
that probably is a more
why don't we
stretch.
just have Tom Holland on the podcast? So I had this like fantasy where like I was gonna be like, Tom Holland, you should come on the podcast, and he was gonna actually answer and come on the podcast, and then like we would do something ridiculous and funny, so then it would go like viral. And like anytime you see like a celebrity like do something random like that, then like the new like some talk show picks it up and they like bring that random person on. And I'd be like, oh yeah, you were on this podcast and it was ridiculous and this happened and it was funny. We're gonna bring out the host of that podcast, and then we were going on like Jimmy Kimmel or like Jimmy Fallon. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen by like probably September. So yeah, so we're gonna be like famous pretty much.
That's where that was going.
Yeah, that's like I was thinking like, man, we should work on this because then maybe we can be on TV.
All of you who are listening now just got a preview into Hove's mind and how it works, what he daydreams about. In case you're all wondering,
not really daydream.
Is that really a good sample though? I'm sure there's better samples.
That's like one half maybe.
But no, I don't know. I was driving home from work and I was like, yeah, maybe I'll just message Tom Holland, and maybe he'll answer.
Since we're good friends.
Yeah, we're best. I mean, I was thinking like, what of all of the Avengers are like famous but not quite famous enough to like they would be fun and like maybe answer on Twitter. Do you know what I mean? Like Tom Holland isn't Robert Downey Jr. I love him, but like he's not Robert Downey Jr.
He's up there though.
No,
he's like about RezoCast level. Like
no, I don't want to. I don't want to disrespect. I don't want to disrespect him like that now.
No, yeah, he's great.
I feel like Hawkeye is the more likely one to answer. I was like, if we had to go with like
really
does a lot of
answer,
I was gonna say, really though, Jeremy Renner is an Oscar winner, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Oh, wait. I got to bring up something because while we're talking movies, before we move into Destiny stuff. Okay, so a trailer for Venom just came out, a new trailer, which looks
much better.
I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I think it looks amazing, particularly costume design stuff. But
by costume design, you mean CGI?
Yeah.
But the design of everything.
Yeah.
But also on top of that, Tom Hardy, like, I love him.
He's amazing.
But there's another movie that is coming out that is very similar called Upgrade.
I saw that. And it's Tom Hardy's fake doppelganger, Logan Marshall Green.
Exactly. And they look so similar. And the movie, the plot line of both movies is basically the same. I mean, I know one's a different thing inhabiting the body, but they're both exactly like it even plays out the same in the trailer.
Where he's like what just happened?
This happens. People come to their house to try and take it back in both scenarios, and they both look identical. And I'm getting confused on what movie is what movie. And
I've not seen this Upgrade trailer or anything about it, actually. I'll have a look at it.
First of all, before you watch, I mean, you can watch both those things, Upgrade and Venom, and then after that, go Google Logan Marshall Green and Tom Hardy, and all these side-by-side images will come up, and they are identical. It's insane. I can't get over it.
I first knew Logan Marshall Green from the OC.
Me too.
When he played Ryan's brother.
Yeah.
Although he was the second one, right? They recast him. Was he the first one or the second one?
Oh, he's the second. You're right. One. Yeah. Triton, you didn't watch the OC? Which
no, I didn't watch the OC. I did not watch the OC. Sorry.
It was actually a really good show.
Wait, was that like kind of like when it was? I mean, it was like a show, but some people thought it was like, oh, this is like a
no. You're thinking
was it distinctly a show?
No, you're thinking of that other show. Laguna Beach. Yeah.
Okay.
Which I never watched that.
Which
let's talk about some Destiny. How about we do that?
Wait. I still think though Upgrade, it looks good, and like Bagu said, it looks really, really good. But I still think it's one of those movies that, regardless of the reviews, I think it's gonna bomb. I'll tell you now. That's my prediction.
Really?
Yeah, just because it's one of those movies. Like he's not a draw.
He's not, but people think he is Tom Hardy.
Yeah, but
that doesn't work.
That doesn't quite make multi-million-dollar movies.
Yeah,
but just saying, it worked on my wife because she thought she was like, "Oh, that Tom Hardy movie."
I also don't think Tom Hardy, as great of an actor as he is, I don't think he sells tickets.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay, here's what's weird about that movie and why I think it could do something interesting is it's being made by Blumhouse, which is weird because it's kind of like an action movie, but I think it's supposed to be kind of horror, which is weird because that's the vibe Venom is giving off too. So I don't know. It could one could play off the other, and I'm curious how that's... Obviously, Venom's going to do much better for comic book reasons.
And I don't think it's going to be a bad movie. It might be a movie that we talk about as like one of our favorite. It could be really good. I just don't see the thing like... It's unfortunate, but for the most part, Hollywood, as far as draws for movies in the box office, has really come down to like known quantities.
The Rock.
Here's the other thing with Blumhouse.
Better cast The Rock to do Upgrade.
Yeah, if The Rock was in it.
Well, Blumhouse, and the reason why they went with Logan Marshall Green, I think he's the more affordable actor, is Blumhouse never makes a movie that costs anything to make. All their movies are like not B, but they're low-grade horror movies that they spend like, $20,000 on, and then they make $1 million, not 20, 200,000, whatever.
Yeah, but that's like Tyler Perry's playbook right there.
No, that's what I'm telling you. They spend hardly any money on these horror movies, and I'm thinking they probably did the same thing with Upgrade. And it's going to make, even if it bombs, quote, like in the box office, it could still make way more than they spent on it, and then it'd be a success.
Well, I guess.
But whatever. So real quick, I swear we'll get to Destiny because there is stuff I want to talk about. But Country in chat just said, and while I'm not a big fan of this, I've gotten it before, and at least he's funny. He just said Jonah Hill as Hove in a RezoCast movie.
I'd buy that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm sure he would. Who plays Lego, Triton, and Mana in a RezoCast movie?
Oh gosh, this is a good question.
That is a good question.
I'm gonna have to think on this. I think we might
get to think about it.
I would say Lego could do like...
You could be the guy from that Fresh Off the Boat TV show.
Jim from The Office.
No,
I would do, but not as snarky. Like
he's become too badass.
Okay,
I can't be that.
Yeah, he did do that. Like he did do that
A Quiet Place
Navy movie.
just-
Well, Quiet Place, but he also did that movie where he was like
this
in
movie you may have heard
Afghanistan. It
about.
was like 20,
Oh, he did the
yeah, because Hove mentioning is a badass, and he was
The
like
Michael
some,
Bay
like,
movie where he's
Yeah. It wasn't Zero Dark 30, but it was like that.
it was about Benghazi though, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so it was some military movie.
The
so,
day
yeah,
after something. I don't know.
No,
I
we
don't
should
know.
we should have someone like we should have Logan Marshall Green play Triton.
So would Mana be no.
Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal. I do that. Steven Seagal.
I'm down.
You could be what's the guy's name from Harold and Kumar?
John. Is it John Cho? Is
Yeah.
it John Cho?
Yeah, you can be John Cho. So wait, who's Lego?
Seems fair. I don't know.
No one. I'm unclassifiable.
No, that is not true. You're going to be Stephen Merchant. But but he has to he has to sit for the entire movie and make you think he's standing because he's 7 feet tall, and Lego's much shorter than I ever thought he was going to be when I met him.
I feel like I could be. Who's the dad from Modern Family? Who's all quirky?
Yeah, I can
always
see
is
that.
kind of oblivious to everything. I feel like I could be that guy.
I feel like, and also because of the Pittsburgh connection, I feel like even better than Jonah Hill, I feel like Joe Manganiello could really channel his inner Hove. I feel like he would be a good fit for me.
It's not you channel him; he's channeling you.
That's what actors. Yeah, that's what actors do.
Okay, I mean,
I definitely, come on. I mean, have you seen Joe Manganiello? He's like a spitting image. He's I'm like his Logan Marshall Green, and he's Tom Hardy.
Okay. I feel like I had something else to say about this week before we moved on to other talk, but I think we should just do it because there's so much to get into here. We got the Warmind reveal stream that just happened, and it's hard to even go into what part to talk about first, but I guess we'll start at the beginning with the reveal of they did the trailer, with the thing that you the opening credits to the DLC. Basically, they showed that with Anna Bray.
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it. Okay. I'm the only one who's watched it.
I was able to watch the first half hour of the stream, and the first half hour they was just them talking mostly, and we're gonna go in and we're gonna do the prologue, and I was like, yep, click, bye.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they didn't really give anything away, which is really nice. I felt like all the other prologues were really intense, and this one, the only thing it did is it did something really cool that I really appreciate, and I won't describe because it doesn't describe. That's what I liked about it, is it showed her approaching something and then it cuts away. It's something some big creature or something. You don't know what it is, but she looks at the screen and it's the camera is looking at her and she's intimidated by something but ready to take it on, and you don't know what it is. And we obviously have seen Frozen Hive being one of the new bads from the whole trailer, as through the PvE gameplay and what the developers said we'd be facing. But it seemed like something bigger and badder than that she was going to be facing, but it never showed what it was. No name, no hint of anything as to what it could be. And I thought that was kind of cool that they did the prologue, kind of showed, the preview kind of showed, hey, there's going to be some big bad, but didn't tell you what it was going to be. And we already knew the Bray family was going to be involved, so it didn't really give anything away as far as that goes.
Well, one thing I think is cool, and I was going to mention this anyway, but Heavy Metal Mama and Bag, you both kind of pointed out in chat. Bungie always going deeper than anyone thinks with the story. We now find out Anna is Anastasia, and she's involved with Rasputin.
Yes.
Bungie and their parallels. And that's something I feel like Super Professor, while it's not Shakespeare, I feel like that would be right up his alley.
Yeah, that is good. And I think a lot of people were surprised that Rasputin was the one that was going to be there, too, on the planet. Because a lot of people were saying it was going to be one of the other Warminds, because they were like, well, Rasputin's, that's always been other places. That's not going to be Mars. But then it is there, and Deej was like, hey, this will be explained. We don't want to give anything away, but this is Rasputin who we're going to be dealing with. And so I thought that was, I didn't expect that. And I also am glad that we didn't see any Siva stuff either, which everyone speculated it was going to be Siva. And remember, I brought up the Hive last episode, and y'all shot me down like it's not going to be the Hive.
That didn't happen. It was the other way around. You told us that.
No, that's not what happened at all. I brought it up. I was like, it's the Hive is like, one of the things that is always around Rasputin whenever we played it in the original story. And y'all were all like, oh, no, that's not going to happen.
What were we like?
Yeah, do that again, because I'm pretty sure that wasn't it. But just to make sure.
I want to hear it one more time.
No, it was just
nope, I'm not going to let you go on until you do that impression again.
I can't recreate it, guys. You're just
you're gonna have to just click that little red phone icon that hangs up your call because I'm gonna need you to leave.
So that's the preview that they kind of gave us. The overall gist of what we're doing there is like fighting a lot of Hive, basically, is what it looked like. I'm sure there's some overarching story that we don't know, but they introduced one thing they did show off a lot wasn't the story, but the new PvE kind of public event activity, the escalation protocol, which looked pretty awesome and looked kind of complicated, like
Horde
you know how we had Court of Oryx or stuff like that, where you could put in something, or the Rise of Iron public event kind of sector too. It was kind of like those two combined, except you didn't need a certain something to start it. You could just start it whenever you wanted to, and as many people could jump in as they wanted. But it seemed like you had to have certain things to progress in it pretty far. Either that or you just had to be really leveled up. It wasn't completely clear. I feel like it was more so you just had to be really leveled up, but anybody could play and participate in it. And you get specific rewards from doing that thing that aren't found anywhere else, which was like one of the best things to hear ever. I don't know how y'all felt about that, but seeing them talk about this specific shotgun that does this specific thing that has perks that help you on this activity you get from this event. I thought that was pretty awesome. That was the first time that was the first thing that I was like, oh yes, they're heading the right direction. Even now in Warmind, I was afraid maybe some of the feedback for what we won in rewards wasn't going to be put into place until September, but it looks like it is.
For sure.
Was there anything about Escalation Protocol that y'all liked?
I didn't really look into details of that one. That's one of the things that, like, I know it's there, I get the gist of it, but I kind of want to avoid knowing too much. Like, one of the things that makes me mad is it seems like we know a lot of the exotics that are coming again.
We do.
I've avoided that. I don't want to know. Like, we've complained about that so much. Don't tell us. I want to find things. I want to have fun.
Well, Hove, I don't know if you should have joined a podcast that talks about Destiny stuff if you didn't want to.
Well, this is the God of War podcast, though.
Yeah, this is the TWAM / God of War. No, but remember, this was something that they didn't used to do, and we've complained that they should stop doing. Not just us, like the community. Like, we don't want to know every gun right away. Like, we want cool shit to find.
I think they are hiding a lot of stuff, and they've said as much on this stream. They had the people coming on, and they were like, "Hey, how do you feel like you've presented this challenge of people want more secrets, more hidden things?" And they said on stream, the people, I think it was Vicarious Vision guys who said it. Who helped make, which if you didn't know on stream, the Vicarious Vision, this is a team that came in with Bungie to help them port it to PC, also created, and y'all can correct me if I'm saying this wrong, I'm pretty sure this is what they meant, but they are the ones who designed this DLC, or at least,
they had the lead.
Bungie.
Yeah,
they had
the guy who was the director for this was a VV guy.
Exactly. Yeah. And so basically it kind of puts a fresh new set of eyes on things, and they kind of like boasted that there's going to be so much stuff, it's going to take you a really long time to find it all. There's going to be secrets everywhere. And they were like, so you don't think our community is going to find it too fast? And they're like, no, it's full of secrets. Like, they're acting like they did whenever they introduced Oryx's ship. Like, they were, how they boasted about like all the secrets and all the little things you're going to find. Kind of like that is the way that they're talking, which gets me really excited, because mystery is one of the things we talked about on the last podcast episode that we really wanted. We're like, we want those secrets, like them not to tell us stuff. And I think they're hiding a lot. And I think I have really high hopes now after hearing them talk about it, that there's going to be some secret gun somewhere. Like the sniper from D1 that you had to do the strike backwards to get.
I hope that it's implemented in the right way, because you mentioned Oryx as a ship, and it seemed like that would take, I mean, it always took us like forever to traverse that thing sometimes though. So yes, there was some stuff tucked away, and it was nice to find certain things, and there was the spores and some of those other collectible thing. What gun was it? Was it the touch of mouse? You had to get 50 of the, or like at least
it was a big
40 of those calcified fragments. So like some of those things are fine. But they have to be implemented in a way, like when we talked about when we really all liked getting the black spindle, right? It was just kind of a turn on the side of another mission, and then a timer started, and it was a pretty cool thing to get, but it didn't take you forever to do. I don't want something that's like, here's this whole world, let's not be able to use our sparrows and walk around here and look at everything that looks like a little bit different, glittery, and maybe it'll unlock something. That's not the kind of secrets I'm hoping for. I'm more towards like challenges that unlock another thing, or something that if you are making your way through a nightfall extra fast or doing extra modifiers or things like that, all of a sudden this is accessible to you. That's fine. Making this big huge ship or big huge Warmind where like 20 minutes of pushing the up stick on the joystick, you're finally there. I that's not. So it depends. I'm excited as well, but when you mention Oryx ship, there's different implementation is just important as design. And if it
number one thing is we are going to be able to have our sparrows on this map, which they've already shown off.
Right, but you know what I mean by that, though, Lego. That's implementation and design can't have to go hand in hand.
I get you, yeah. And I feel like everything that they've shown so far, I can't, obviously we can't speak for the whole thing, but everything that they've shown me so far about this DLC is like they're heading in the right direction for those rewards for the activities we're doing. Like if the Crucible is any reflection of what PvE is going to be implemented, then it gets me really excited, because the Crucible has specific things to go for now, which we'll talk about later, that get me like really hyped for like, yes, that is the kind of activity and the kind of reward I want for doing the Crucible. So hopefully we'll see the same thing on the PvE side.
To Triton's point, I don't think I had an issue or would have an issue with something Dreadnought-y where it's just kind of like find this stuff and look around and search. I just don't think it should be one or the other. I'm okay with stuff like I said, the Dreadnought, whether it be, not necessarily, there's 50 of these things hiding, but just things that you have to physically find. But I also think there needs to be things that are more like triggered somehow. Like you said, challenges, quests. Yeah. I mean, it's, Lost Sectors were cool, but when they were all the same and you just went in, you killed this boss and you left, and you didn't get anything.
Yeah.
It wasn't any fun.
They weren't that lost with the painted graffiti.
But keep in mind, at least two of the things we're talking about both came with the Taken King, right? The whole Dreadnought type of exploration and secrets were Taken King, and Black Spindle was Taken King, right?
Right.
So there's no reason they can't do. Works. Well, yeah. There's no reason they can't do both types of like hidden, quote unquote type of stuff. So,
I mean, I can see that too. I think one of my issues is definitely the non-account specific things, like character specific. Having to find, I think it was like 45 calcified fragments. Granted, you knew where they were, but 3 characters. I understand maybe you want that gun 3 times for like infusion purposes or to get an exotic shard at the time. But I mean, that's a really weak justification to do that. I think those things are exaggerated when you're trying to do them across 3 characters. So I agree with you, Hove. Maybe that's something I think I've been on for since we've had this podcast, is if they could make things more account specific and less character specific, would certainly. I definitely think that's artificial grind. I hope that those things kind of change in some way. I've never been a fan of that.
They seem to be. I mean, even with D2 and just some of the inventory and stuff, they seem to be going slowly towards most things being account specific, right? Inventory to like they're talking about pledging for faction rallies maybe being account specific. Crucible ranks, which we'll get to, are going to be account specific.
Or also, Iron Banner ornaments. Like, I didn't have to do that grind for the chest piece 3 different times. I just did it one time, and it went to all my characters, so it was more account specific then.
Yeah, that's kind of a bonus I would be talking about. I think the faction one, I could see them doing it so you can't just lazily assign 3 characters to each one. That one makes sense to me. More of a, like, we don't want people to be able to do this. Less of a, less frustration thing. I think the Iron Banner one's a step in the right direction, though, because, to have to do that to get... Or the melee kills ones, right? Or whatever. The grenades would be terrible if you had to do it on all 3 characters. I would hate that.
I also want to point out that Triton just nonchalantly, and no one bothered him when he said lazily, but the one time I said funnily, and I had to justify myself. Just
well,
wanted to point
lazily
that
just
out.
sounds more.
Well, funnily enough, Ho.
They're the same thing. Funny, lazy. Funnily, lazily.
Yeah, I
Adjective,
guess you're
adverb.
right. Well, was there anything about PvE stuff that stuck out to you guys or that made like y'all feel excited for the game? Because after watching just that event, the escalation event, like I just got, even the Hive were basically the same. I didn't see anything different. I'm sure there's minor things that are different about them. Like it just looked really fun to me to play. I know some of the bosses from that encounter were slightly different, it looked like, but that didn't really matter to me. All the mechanics were the same. It just looked like a fun and challenging activity to do. I don't know how much I'll end up doing it, but it just looked really fun and made me excited to play the game again with all those weapons they were showing off in the mix as well. It just made me excited to play the game and to get my hands on Warmind and to be on Mars on the ice caps and stuff.
I was reading, and PVE. Did they announce, or is there? I mean, there's supposed to be another raid layer at some point. They haven't said anything about it with Warmind, though, right?
No, they have.
They have.
So not them specifically, but I wanted to. I guess I should go over that. They put off the Warmind description like on the store. And so you can read about it there, and they talk a little bit about the Hive's reasoning for stuff, but I won't go into story things. Although there is something I want to bring up that gets me really excited about the Hive, but I'll do it in a second. But in the features for the description of the expansion, it says all new raid lair, and the devs confirmed on Twitter it's called Spire of Stars. We don't know anything about it yet, other than one of the lead devs for raid team stuff, I think it was Andrew Hoops who said it, that someone had tweeted about they miss the big boss fight encounters at every step of the raid. Like, why can't we have that again? And he kind of specified like, hey, we hear you. The next raid will be like that. Raid layers are more for like one single boss encounters. And so that kind of leads me to believe, unless I interpreted that tweet wrong, that Spire of Stars is going to be mainly one boss with other sections of it, kind of like the other raid lair. Then also in that description, the features also say new themed weapons, armor, and gear to earn, all new ritual activity escalation protocol, all new relic weapon, the Valkyrie, which was the one they showed off on stream, which looked awesome. Another thing that got me excited. 3 new strikes, 1 PS exclusive strike. So 2 strikes for everyone, 1 PS exclusive strike. New story missions and adventures, new destination, polarized caps of Mars, access to multiplayer arenas and private matches. And then they talked about the soft cap increased to 340, max level 380, and we'll be able to hit level 30 on our characters. So that's everything.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, raid lair, yes. New strikes, yes.
For raid lair prestige for the first one is also supposed to be coming soon too, right? Isn't that coming pretty much with Warmind? Wasn't that it listed as May?
I think that is for the next season. That's what we'll be seeing. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, PvE people should have some stuff to do if they get rewards heading the right direction.
Yep,
should be much different than
True.
Curse of Osiris.
They didn't really talk about the prestige rewards that they had, or maybe, hopefully they learned from the last raid lair as well. And the raid lair that they introduced this time will have unique, stuff that is worth doing. Whereas I think this raid lair, we got like 2 guns and that was kind of it.
I do just want to point out that though I know the raid lair specifically was built to be one boss because it's smaller and we're okay with that. We compared it when it came out to Crota. Crota really only had 1 boss, and that was considered a full raid at the time.
Yeah.
As far as like Leviathan, because I know people kind of had that same complaint just for the main raid.
Yeah. That was what the tweet was about, the complaint. It was about the Leviathan as well.
I don't agree with that. I like the... what's the word I'm looking for? It's a really simple word. Variety. Like, I don't... Obviously, you're not going to be able to have, like, 4 encounters that are like dogs and 4 big bosses. That would just be too big of a raid. They wouldn't have time for that. But, like, I don't want it to just be traverse this area, fight a big bad guy. Traverse this area, fight a big bad guy. Like, I really enjoy... Now, I do want big bosses. You do want to have this, it's part of the power fantasy, like fighting this giant guy who has this story behind him being powerful. But I also really liked some of the encounters. Like, I liked the puzzle and the teamwork and all that stuff because, to a point, there's only two ways to like damage a boss, right? You either do something and have like a damage phase, which we've done a million times, or like in some games you have to do something and then that takes a chunk out of him, like Oryx. You know, those kind of become the same type of thing. And really, let's be completely honest, the boss in that second type of damage phase, like where you just do something that triggers damage to him, the boss is just like a figurehead. It's not even like you're really fighting a boss. It could just be like, you know, the gauntlet. You had to trigger something, and oh, hey, there happens to be this giant guy standing behind it, and when you do the gauntlet stuff, he damage.
Loses some health.
Is that really, I mean, really, is that any different than doing a puzzle type of thing? No, you're just...
No, I agree with Hove. The mechanics are, I mean, I'd rather have innovative mechanics and encounters than have, like, a lazy an encounter that has, you know, the boss that loses health, you know, after you do a mechanic that's probably not as innovative or not as interactive. I wouldn't want that as much.
It comes down to what Hove said, like power fantasy and the fantasy of slaying a giant boss versus solving a puzzle. And I think that's what that person was complaining about. And I think that the devs hear that, you know, and I'm with you, Hove. I think it was really cool to have a different experience that the Leviathan gave us. Someone's going to get mad at me, Leviathan.
I've been mad at you.
Yeah. So I feel like, you know, yes, it was nice to have something different. I think it's just because we got that something different and then had a bunch of raid layers where it was just one boss each time, then it's like people are like, okay, where's the original Destiny feeling of fighting all these bosses in one dungeon? And people just miss that. And I think Bungie's going to deliver on that when the next raid comes around. But I understand what you're saying about it being the same thing, just without the figure of it.
Yeah. and I don't disagree with like having bosses is cool. And like I said, variety is kind of the way to go. It's just you're not going to be able to do that in a single raid. You're not going to be able to have 3 or 4 dogs type encounters, gauntlet type encounters, and 3 or 4 big bosses.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, you're going to have maybe like a puzzle, then a boss, and then a puzzle, and then a boss, and then maybe the big boss, or whatever. But I don't know. I really enjoyed that because it wasn't just a puzzle. Like, you still had to shoot stuff. You still had to kill stuff. It wasn't just like, you know, it wasn't the Outbreak Prime quest, stand on these, and then you're done. Like, you still had to, like, run, and you had to fight, and there were the dogs, and there was all this different stuff. You had to make yourself more powerful to fight them. Like, I really, really... You know, if Leviathan had the same type of reward system as the old D1 raids, where we actually wanted to go in and grind for something, I think Leviathan would have been my favorite raid by far. Just on the merit of it, it was really, really creative.
And I'll go even further than that and say that you know, the raid layer that we got might be one of my favorites because even though it was just a singular boss, just the visuals of it and the way it made me feel going into it, I just loved like everything about the way that it played out. And if there were more reasons to go to that, then it would be one that I would do more often, I feel like. And I think they're going to change those things. So I'm curious to see how the whole raid system as a whole like plays out once they like mess with the rewards a little bit.
The one thing real quick, before we move on to, I guess, more reveal stream, get through that stuff. You know, last week we briefly touched on the new like light progression of how they're changing that. One of the things, I don't remember if it came up or not, but one of the things that I thought was really a good idea is that loot from each iteration, whether it be vanilla, DLC 1, DLC 2, those powerful engrams are now going to cap at whatever the max light for that DLC was. Because if they didn't, if everything just... And maybe people are going to be... Well, Infusion solves the problem of things being left behind, but if it became like they came up, the powerful rewards came up to the max light, that means the further you go, the easier and easier every iteration of Destiny it is to get the max light. Because you keep adding these weekly powerful things. So I really like, you know, it gives somebody who's coming in a path, like someone who just picks up the game, a path to play the game in its like correct chronological order, like linear, like linear storyline. but it also, not just as far as storytelling, but it's okay, get to this max level and then get to this max level and use these things as you go on, as opposed to just, maybe some people want to just be able to do whatever they want, but like I like the fact that there's a story to go with it and go on.
Yeah, I feel you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, for sure. Triton, I wanted to finish up, I guess, this part of the conversation with, was there anything for you that stood out for PvE, like new PvE content, anything that gets you excited for Warmind after the stream?
Not particularly. I just, if there's a reason to do it, I think I don't want to get back on the raid conversation, but sometimes the PvE things that are nice are things that we only wanted to do one time. So it seems like you have really fond memories of it. Or if you grinded a raid a ton and the mechanics just became do this, stand here, do this, you know what to do. You could do some of them in your sleep. They don't really have the same fondness. So not to say that I'd want to play something to the point where it's just a routine. But I think there has to be some type of balance between an incentive and actually being innovative in wanting to do something again.
Yeah, cool. And I wanted to point out too, I know the three of us are probably more so err on the side of the Crucible, or maybe playing PvE only once, as Triton was pointing out. But I know that there are several hardcore raid players out there, not just like out there, but in Resolute, like the clan, that raid more frequently maybe than they play Crucible. And so that's not necessarily represented here. And so, yeah, I just want to say, like, we know that getting those positions down and getting a raid where you can do it, like Triton's talking about, is more fun for other people than it is for us. And I just wanted to verbalize that.
I don't want to say clarify that, because you're not wrong, but I think Destiny and the way things happen in Destiny 1 drove me to that, and are the reason, like, I'm like that. Like Crota, I played easily a couple hundred times. Like,
was it because of the rewards, or
part of it was just helping people, doing like the sword bearer stuff.
Well, I guess I'm just differentiating, like, what's the difference between then and now?
But yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, a reason to keep doing it. Like, as much as people couldn't get stuff, I really liked where it was like normal gave you these guns on this encounter, but you could only get, like, the primaries on hard, and the exotic chances at each boss. Like, that was a reason to every week run those to try to get, Gallarhorn, Last Word, or Hawkmoon, all those.
Yeah.
And I know we're never going to go back completely like that, because, there were still the complaints that people didn't get a gun they wanted for, 8 months, a year, whatever it may have been. But, man, that was the reason I played so much PvE, was because every week what places you were, there were the chests in the raid, and there were the raid bosses, and there was the Nightfall. And you did those every week at reset to try to get those things that you had been chasing.
Yeah. Well, that makes a good segue over to the PvP stuff, because I think they're trying to get us reasons to come back and play PvP every week and make it more of a hobby for us with the new PvP rank stuff. Not only, like, did they add in new guns and stuff, but they added a ranking system that will allow for you to earn stuff throughout as you progress through the rank. I think both kinds of rank too as well. So you've got Glory and Valor, which we already know about these. We've heard about them a lot. We just heard specifically a little bit more about not necessarily how they work, because we knew most of that. It's more so learning about what you can get from it and how there's different levels. And I think it's explained more clearly if you YouTube a different, just how they work nowadays. But basically,
I want to say Gigs did a really good video. I think it was him.
His is one that was really good, because he went into detail about how much time it's actually going to take you to rank up. And so for Valor's the more, I guess, like quick, the one that's going to be in quick play, where you never go down really. You just kind of like move up continually. There's no loss penalties. And Glory's the one where if you win, you go up. If you lose, you go down. And there's a couple of different, 6 different levels of that. You start at Guardian, move to Brave, then Heroic, Fabled, Mythic, and Legend. And in Giggs's video, actually, he pointed out that it would take like playing 6 hours for 26 days. Like, that's how long it would take you. And if you won with a 100% win ratio, that's how long it would take you to get to Legend, the very top rank. And so he's like, and many people, True Vanguard was saying it on his videos, he's like, it's going to take you a very long time to get there, and you're gonna have to like earn it. And I think I can't remember who said what, but Legend, like you get different unique rewards for hitting these ranks, not just in Valor. I'm sure you'll get stuff in Valor too. We already saw some emblems and stuff, but you get like weapons. We know for sure Redrick's Claymore, which is the pulse rifle that they showed off, that has a very specific perk set to it that lets it fire faster once you get a headshot kill with it. Or I think it might be any kill, but it has outlaw on it, and so you're going for those headshots. That lets it fire super fast and maintain the same amount of damage, so it makes it a way faster time to kill. And so it's a very great gun that people are going to be looking to try and get, and you don't get it until you get to Fabled, which is the second to highest glory rank, not even Valor. It's like you have to be good in the Crucible to get there and work for it.
Third highest.
Third highest. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, that's right. And so like we've never seen Destiny be like this before, where there's something available other than raids, I guess, and trials, you know, which we haven't seen this in D2 really at all, because you can get raid and trial stuff from your clanmates doing it. But this is something only you can get if you go out and you grind for it and you are good at it. Not just you grind for it. Like for glory, you're going to have to win to do that. You can't just play a bunch.
You can get carried. It's fine.
I don't know if you're going to be able to. That's the thing I'm most curious about this whole thing.
There's already some of these big PvP players like tweeting like, who wants carries?
Yeah. No, I'm sure that could happen, but is it going to play out like is it going to fill out the competitive playlist? Is everybody really going to be grinding for this? Do you think it's enough? That's my biggest question. I feel like I am too. So Hove and Triton, do you play Overwatch? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Okay. So y'all both play Overwatch, and y'all are more familiar with how seasons work there. And as an outsider who doesn't really play Overwatch, I just kind of watch it and hear about people talk about it, and they talk about like, I'm trying to get up at the end of this season, trying to get my rank up. Is this going to be similar to that, where all your friends are going to be online trying to hit that top rank to get that reward, you think, in Destiny? Is it going to be able to pull that off?
There's a lot that we don't know still on how the actual ranking is going to work. You know, is it a, like, I know there's streaks as you win more games in a row or lose more games in a row. Mm-hmm. Your penalties or rewards on the ranking system become more severe, you know, in either direction. But I mean, is it going to be a set, you know, plus 10 for a win, or is your performance going to factor in? Like, if you have if you absolutely go off and lose by a point, are you going to lose the same, I don't know, 30 rank points that you did if you didn't kill anybody? Because, you know, there's a lot of things like that are going to factor into it, because that'll piss people off.
I think it will be like that. The way that it's explained, I think Gigs compared it to the 1 through 50 ranking in, I think, Halo 2 and 3, like super competitive. Like, I think that's if you lose, you just lose. That's just the way it is. But
I would be unhappy with that.
Really?
Yeah, because, I mean, you know, if you have this great, like I said, do you think you deserve to lose the same? Like, you have a great game, you lose by 1 point. You go 30-0 and you lose by 1 point. Yeah. Do you think you deserve to lose the same amount as if nobody you just get absolutely demolished? Should your rank change by the exact same thing? Your rank. It's your individual rank.
I mean, sure, if you chose to play with those people, I don't see why a system like that would be bad.
Who says you chose to play with those people?
What if you just enter as a random?
Then they also said, that's another thing, they tweeted out that they're working on making sure you don't get matched. This is kind of separate, but I just wanted to bring it up before we forgot. They're making sure that, or they're working on making it better so that you don't get matched against full teams, against going in solo. That's just something I want to throw out there. But I would say that if you cared about your rank, you wouldn't go in just solo unless you're willing to risk that.
I've done like Overwatch, for instance. Most of my gains this season have come solo.
Okay, so
and they're very good about that. If you go into a game, there's 6 people on a team in Overwatch, especially in comp. If you go in with and your team is made up of 3 groups of 2, I can almost guarantee you that other team is 3 groups of 2. If you're a 5 stack and a 1, that other team's a 5 and a 1. If you're a 3 and a 3, they're a 3 and a 3. Like they do a great job with that.
Does Overwatch do it where if you lose by a little bit, you only go down a little bit?
Every game, I mean, is just different.
Okay.
Depending, I couldn't
There's
tell you.
a lot of factors.
I couldn't tell you how. It's their like kind of secret sauce type of thing. But yeah, you may win a game and go up 30 points. You may lose a game and go down 13. I mean, it takes into account a lot of things.
Okay.
So how in depth is Destiny going to be? Because like I said, if it's just like you lose 5 for losses, 10s for always wins, and things like that, I think that's going to make a lot of people unhappy. There's definitely going to be people who come out and say this isn't really true competitive with just this basic thing. It's going to have several layers that determine, like win margins. Almost like we could talk about like the BC is like, how much did you win by? Is that worth more than like Hope saying if your team or you specifically are really close to, having a really good game or you barely lose, is it, a less penalty? Is it something like ELO where if you happen to beat a really good team, let's say there's somebody on the other team that's maybe 1 or 2 tiers above the collective group that you're in, do you get more points for beating someone like that?
Right.
They have to take most of those things into account because I think that matters, right? Like if you were to randomly get matched against people that are in, let's say, is Fabled the 3rd tier?
Yeah.
And you're just starting out and we're in Guardian. I feel like if we win that match, maybe that's worth more.
I don't think you'll probably play
Guardian.
people that far off.
Yeah.
Right.
I see what you're saying, though.
And matchmaking is very important in that regard. I think that's how Hove opened. And you said you wanted to throw it in as an aside, but I think matchmaking is a real big part of how they're going to be able to implement
and
this.
The scoring. If it's just such a vanilla, you get this for a win, you get this for a loss. I'm sure that maybe I'm even in a very small minority. I don't know. I haven't really heard on that side, but I personally would be very disappointed in that.
I would as well.
I hate to say, I never want to say like that was the lazy way out for anything because I don't think any of the people over there are lazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that is the way to go. If you weren't going to be able to put something in that took into account things like the skills of the other player, and I know, and I don't just mean from the aspect of we're all in the same rank, because if those ranks take as long to move as they do, they're saying it's going to be such a grind, then they're a pretty big rank. So if I'm at the very bottom of Fabled and you're at the very top of Fabled,
you might not be the same.
We might be matched together, but maybe I just got in for the first time and you just happen to lose a couple games. You're normally 1 tier up above that. Do you know what I mean? Like we're pretty far.
I don't think you're in the.
I should either get more points for beating you and lose less for losing to you, as opposed to somebody who's below me. Mm-hmm. Or you know what I mean? Like there needs to be some sort of system for that.
I don't think you would be in the minority there. I think most people would want a system more closely to what we're describing, because I think that if they came out and said, this is what you get for losing, this is what you get for winning, I think a lot of people would say this is a complete cop-out to saying that this is a competitive thing, because there's so many other competitive modes and games, and Lego just mentioned Overwatch having not played, that people are cognizant of that factor in those types of things. You can't come out right now in 2018 with this 10 points for wins, 5 points for losses thing. Yeah. That will not work at all when, the standard is to do things the way that Hove and I described about margin of victory or margin of loss and a factor of skill level and how your match make. All of those things matter. They have to do this right the first time. This can't be, oh, we're sorry we did it this way for the first month. No, when they do this, it has to be pretty sophisticated, in my opinion, from the get-go. I mean, this is really not to say they've used all their goodwill, but to come out with something that's less than what the community is expecting based on other genres, I think would be disappointing.
I don't think it's as I agree with you completely on that, like it needs to be that way, but I don't think it's quite as, I know you didn't say make or break, but like, talking about their goodwill and everything, I think it would cause an uproar, but I think private matches coming along with it would help with some of that. People could just go play private matches. But for anyone who's like comparing it, and I don't know how the Halo ranking systems were, but it seems to me like they were a more basic, win you go up this much, lose you go down, whatever.
And I'm not sure about that. I can't claim, I don't remember. It just seemed basic at the time.
Even if they are, that was how many years ago?
Yeah.
Well, it was a good ranking system, but we've moved on. Like things have gotten more complicated. They should be able to figure things out.
Well, here's the thing. Like they do have 2 different type of ranking systems, and I know they both work differently. And with the more competitive one, I am not coming at this from a passionate perspective. I don't have a preference because I don't know what way is best. Y'all both sound very passionate about it needs to be this way. And all I can speak for is that they brought a lot of very serious Crucible players out there that play tested this and were seeing exactly how it worked, and they all came out like, this is awesome. They've done a really good job with implementing the competitive not matchmaking, but the competitive ranking system. Like, everybody came out loving it, and that to me speaks like this is going to be well. And I think they know that it needs to be good because other people have said that. I've heard other people say kind of what Triton has said before, like it needs to come out of they need to not knock it out of the park, but come out rolling at least like pretty hard. And it'd be good.
Well, I just want this is my last thought on it. Response to yours, and then I had one more thing. I still, though, if you're talking about the people that went out and play tested, you're talking about the summit, I'm assuming?
Yeah,
You still got to look like, if you really ask all these people, it's still very first impressions. Like, no one has sat down and grinded that for hours or days.
No, but you've had people like Gigs that have sat down and planned like hardcore looked at it and been like, this is the way it's set up, and thought about it, and analyzed it. And I think everybody seems very approving of it. I haven't heard anybody that's like, I don't know about the way this works. I kind of like the way Valor works better or whatever.
Okay, here's my thing, and this goes with what Dewey said in chat, which is my next point. Maybe it is a set rank or points system, and maybe that works in this scenario. I still don't know. I'm just going off of other game that I play. And actually, the more I think about it, the more I think it is going to have to be a set number, because otherwise those streaks wouldn't work.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where the more you win, the more you gain, in a row.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I think is big, and I'm not saying that, Destiny is anywhere near an esports game or having their own league or anything like that. But keep in mind, Overwatch now has its own successful professional league. Mm-hmm. And like Dewey said in chat, one of the main reasons Overwatch is successful is that they are always adjusting their system of how they rank and de-rank people. It's not just, well, here's what we did, deal with it.
Yeah, and hopefully with the Destiny we've seen recently, like them changing Rumble so fast and still working on it the next time it rolls around and stuff like that, and I'm sure they might change stuff with 6v6. It seems like they're willing to make changes like sooner rather than later with stuff that's brought forth.
Granted, those are way more in-depth type of changes than you're talking about. Matchmaking has been an issue for 3.5 years now. So.
That's true.
To Ho's point quickly, you talk about, only having kind of a very small sample to make your impressions on, and you're all there for one reason, and you're all, I don't say all content creators, but everyone's excited about something. That could play out very differently if you were very close to reaching Legend and you lose that game right before you think you're going to get it, and you lose 250 points because for whatever system they created, and now you're 2 days away of winning to get back to just that point. That will play out very differently than, hey, there's nothing at stake right now, and we're all just talking about something that we have an input on. That's a very different mindset, especially from like any type of focus group initial product or, focus group down the road and like a lifespan of a product, I would say. Yeah. So I do think that, not to say that those initial impressions don't matter, but very few times do I feel like in Destiny's history have initial impressions been like, oh, this is just garbage. Like, I don't remember people coming away from those types of things thinking, whether it be reveal streams where people got to do things or anything like that, where people like, oh, this is going to be terrible, guys. Let me tell you. Right? Maybe I'm wrong, but
no, you're right. And I also, you just bringing that up just made me think of pros and cons of even using one ranking system over the other, as far as like, minimizing the amount of points you lose if you don't do very well versus if you do. Like, what if you're at that last bit, Triton, where you're about to make it to the very top legendary and you get matched with a team that is just so much better than you, they completely trash you in the Crucible, and then you actually go down, like, because it's in a weighted system that depends on how well you did that game, you go down 2 days worth of rank, versus if it's a set in stone system where every win and loss is the same, then you just go down the minimal, like, or the standard, whatever. And
what if someone disconnects? What if someone doesn't care and they rage quit, and you just, like Hope said, you go 30-1 and you do everything you can to get there, and you guys lose by 2 points if it's control. There's a lot of things like that. So we'll see what the system is. They have a big, tough task on their hand. It is great that they got initially really good feedback. I just think it's definitely, like a lot of things, kind of wait and see. But I am optimistic about it, and I'm excited that they're doing something like that. I just think some of the things that Hove and I mentioned are definitely tip of the iceberg things that I'm sure they've thought about. So.
Yeah. Hey, well, let's talk about the rewards that you get from this ranking system, because I feel like they, like I said before, this is something that Destiny has never really done before, other than maybe Trials and D1, where you had to go and do this specific thing, like the Scarab emblem. You had to go flawless several times in a row, and those are the only people that ever got that emblem. Except now it's not just emblems; they're doing it with guns. You have to be that good. And I'm sure there will be carries and stuff like that, but are y'all excited for this change?
Yep.
Yes. Are you weary for it at all? Or are you like, no, it's okay, exclusive stuff, great?
We need it. Good.
Yep,
I have nothing else on that.
Should have been in the beginning.
Yeah, I'm totally with you guys. I'm like so excited that this is finally in the game. And it makes me really excited to, they said one of the things that's really cool is when you go and talk to Shaxx when Warmind comes out, he gives you a path like, hey, this is like what you get for each stage of your rewards. If you choose to go after these things, these are your rewards, and you get to plan out like, okay, that's what I want. I want to reach that rank. I think that's pretty awesome to have like a plan of attack of like, I want these things so people will know that I did this.
That's what Destiny was supposed to be about, right?
Yeah. People will know when you become legend. I love that they named that last ring legendary or legendary.
Legend.
Yeah, legend. That's like, could there be a more fitting title?
Real quick, Country said in chat there has to be a hefty penalty to deter rage quits.
Yeah, absolutely.
They did say you get a. Now, did they just say you get a loss if you leave? Remember. Because I feel like maybe it should. I don't know. That's another one of those ones. Maybe something does happen.
It's tough.
You get like a timeout.
One part of me says if you quit out, maybe you should get a double loss. Points wise, and then the other side of me says, well, what if something comes up and you legitimately do have to leave? And then that first side of me again says like, well, should you really be playing if you think you might have to go soon?
Yeah.
So that's one of the ones that's tough. I mean, they're gonna have to just pick one or the other and stick to their guns on something like that. But there definitely does need to be some way to deter people from leaving a game. And in my opinion, it's got to be stronger than just a loss, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're getting your ass beat, you're going to get a loss anyway. But if you leave your teammates, then you're an asshole.
And you screw them over. Yeah, you should get a timeout or something like that.
Yeah, there's got to be something more severe than just a loss, because otherwise that doesn't deter anyone from leaving if they're going to lose.
Yeah.
I'm personally on the side of heavier discipline in terms of leaving, even if it's an accident or whatever. Like, I'm on the side of like, even if I get disconnected, like, still punish me twice as much. Because what if it would have been me leaving? Like, I should be playing with steadier internet connections, if I'm going in competitive.
Is there any way they can determine, like, if you get kicked by some kind of error that may be on their end? I mean, I don't think so either.
No,
I was just always curious.
Then you get into manipulating networks and everything and blah, blah, blah. The one thing, though, maybe in conjunction with the already established, like, quitter timeouts may help with that.
Yeah.
You get a loss, plus if you're doing it more than once or twice, then you start getting timed out as well, because that's already implemented or being implemented, one or the other.
Yeah, I think that's a good system in Overwatch.
The one thing that pisses me off in Overwatch, though, quickly, you get the thing, if it's before the game starts, so-and-so, a player left your team, this game will cancel in 30 seconds or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get this, it drives me nuts. If someone leaves in the middle of the game, you get this thing that comes up and says, if you leave, a player left, if you leave in the next 2 minutes and it counts down, you will receive a loss and a quitter penalty, right? Okay. But then when that 2 minutes is up, it's not like it waits to see what's going on. Then if you leave, you just receive a loss. I had a game the other day where 4 people left. And me and this other guy stayed and played 2v6, and we obviously just got shit on. But I got the same loss I would have if we would have had a team of 6. Like, I get that, again, I get things are uncontrollable, and they can't account for every single person leaving and just giving everyone a break and everything. But, Jesus, if it's 2v6, like, just end the game and give me a loss. Because I'm not going to win 2v6. And if I leave, I get a quitter penalty. Yeah, like, it's stupid.
It's like you need an option to end it early. It's kind of like in the Crucible, like, if you're playing 4v4 in Destiny, I don't know what map or what mode or anything right now, but you have 3 guys leave and it's just you versus 4 other people. And it's like, I want to let these guys just, win because they deserve it. Like, I don't really just want to get slaughtered at my spawn every time. But at the same time, like, there's no, I won't get my rewards at the end, which, if you have all your stuff, it didn't really matter right now. But say it does, then it's like you want that option to like, can I just give the game to them instead of taking like what you said, like the extra 2 losses, like just let them win. Like, let me get
like maybe a thing and this isn't going to happen, at least not off the bat, but I can't think of where I've seen this before, but like maybe there's an option that says like
surrender
or something. And then if somebody on your team hits it, the other team gets a notification like hold triangle if you wish to also surrender. And if the entire team that's left does, then you do. But if one person says no, fuck it, I'm staying.
Yeah. And to like translate what you said, you mean the other team would get an option to say accepts the surrender. Is that what you mean?
No, your teammates. Like
yes.
Because your example was one person, but say it's 2 people.
Yeah, okay.
Or even 3v4 and it was a close game and now you're getting shit on, but it was right off the bat, then everyone in your team has to agree.
That makes sense.
But I really do think they need to work on, and like you said, they said they were going to, being better about groups versus groups. And that's only in competitive. I don't care about quick play. I know some people do, but like I don't care.
Yeah, same.
In competitive though, like I said, that's a big deal because that's why I was able to, like I said, in Overwatch, like I placed, this isn't going to mean anything to you, Lego, but I placed lower this season than I had placed or finished any of the last 3 seasons. I barely placed platinum, just over 2,500. And I did a solo grind all the way up to, I was like 2890. Like I was fairly close to diamond. Like I grinded through a whole rank solo, because I was able to come up against a lot of other solo players. Or if I got matched with a team of 3 on my team, the other team had a team of 3. If it was completely random in a competitive environment, then I would have had no chance. But like I made my biggest gains in Overwatch playing solo. And I just wanted to point that out because Dewey said in chat, maybe don't suck so bad that your team rage quits. Just saying. And I just want to point out, Dewey, that I have my SR has increased dramatically when not playing with you.
Well, hey, I want to point something out since you talked about playing solo and competitive and all that stuff. I really hope in the future, and a few people brought this up on Twitter, and Kevin actually responded to it. Kevin Yanes.
Giannis,
sorry. Kevin Giannis brought this up and said that, they are looking into Rumble and the ranking system for it. Because right now it's just thrown into the weekly playlist, which is not Glory, but Valor ranking system, which is the more quick play-ish casual one. And so I really hope that Rumble is something that they take a look at so that, those who are serious about it can play for Glory there solo rather than just hoping to go into a good team and get match made with a team that works for them in the competitive playlist. I would really like that personally. That way we could play Rumble, still rank up our Glory, and then when we have a full team, like, hey, I've got other guys ready to play now, we can go play competitive. Kind of the same way we wait for people to play Trials.
I think I'd just like to see Rumble have its own ranking.
I'm down for that. That'd be great too.
Because if you put it in with Valor, then it doesn't really doesn't show you, because like you said, like we've talked about so many times,
second and third places.
Rumble, well, yeah, that makes it difficult. They would have to. That's why I think it should have to have its own. Because if it's in Valor, like we've talked about so many times, like Rumble, even if you go in to have fun, you go in to say like I beat these other 7 people. It's kind of like a badge of honor type of thing. So Valor doesn't really fit. And I don't think it fits too well in Glory because winning and versus losing, getting second place, like you could have a great game and you just come up against that one person, not even a team, that beats you. And maybe you and this person are 20 points ahead of everybody, but you get second. Yeah. Like that becomes a little like,
I think it would have to work, the way it worked in Halo, at least from what I remember. I played a lot of like Rumble. I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure if that's what it was called in Halo. I don't think so. Or maybe it was. But it worked where I'm pretty sure even if you got second place, it gave you more rank than the people that were below you, third, fourth, fifth, and you just lost to the person in first. Kind of the way that you have talked
exactly.
about.
Exactly. And we don't, I think we all kind of agree now after talking about it that I don't think that is going to be the way they're going to do it. I think it's going to be a very set way. So that's why I think Rumble should kind of have its own. Because I also don't think it fits into Glory either.
Yeah. Well, we've gone kind of long talking about all this stuff. I wanted to hit one last thing that they showed on the stream. They showed off some new exotic weapon gameplay that was pretty awesome. Not like new exotics like Hove is hiding himself from right now, but they showed off the new gun, the pulse rifle, for one. That has the perk where if you get a kill with it, then it reloads super fast and you can shoot super fast and do high damage. But also the exotic weapon changes to like Graviton Lance, Skyburner's Oath, which, oh my gosh, Skyburner's Oath. Like, I didn't think I'd be that excited about it, but watching Kevin play and like float in the air with a Warlock and the way that the bullets kind of semi-tracked people, the explosion rounds, the auto fire, hip firing it. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. It looks so fun. And he was doing really freaking good with that gun. Like, I know it was cool to see, what was it? He wasn't playing with Rat King. He was playing with the other hand cannon sidearm, Sturm Drang.
Oh,
no, Sturm Drang. And he was able to pull off a 2-tap kill with the hand cannon, which is awesome. But to me, Skyburner's Oath was the real star of the show. Like,
I really liked, as Bagu pointed out in chat, Hardlight looked really good.
Oh, yeah? It still has the camera shake, though, which is what everybody is super upset about.
But it now has the Borealis effect going. You can switch elements at any time. And once it ricochets, once the rounds ricochet, they do double damage.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I wonder if we will see a trick shot montage they were hoping for.
You're gonna make one. Cool. You're gonna make one, and you're gonna put all our names on it, and you're gonna get us movie of the week.
I don't know if I can get into that gun. We'll see. Graviton Lance was speaking to me pretty strongly too with the way the shots work, and I'm curious if the people who have been preparing for this buff, because there's a lot of people like, I know Windler has been using Graviton Lance a lot, along with a few others that are like, I'm preparing for the buff. Like, I'm ready to use this gun. I wonder if the way it shoots now is different than the recoil pattern it has now, and if it's going to take some adjusting time to get used to, because it seems different. And it seems very strong, though, the way that second burst has like super high damage. So I really want to get my hands on it.
Do you know who's going to be really excited about at least one of those weapons?
I have no idea.
Did you see the tractor cannon?
Oh, yeah, the tractor cannon.
Shackle, yes. If you're listening, I'm sure you're very happy right now.
I know. Yes, she's talking about last week how she's very happy about, or very excited to see what was going to happen with it. Although I think she's going to be kind of disappointed too, because we didn't get the charge up, but it is going to be very useful now rather than just a fun thing to use. With basically what it does now is it enhances all your void damage stuff. Like, we don't know how much or anything like that, but basically like what Shadow Shot does, this will do. You shoot someone with the tractor cannon, they're weak to all void damage is what it seems like. Because in the preview that Bungie showed out in a tweet, they just melted the strike boss, the arms dealer strike boss, completely melted him. So
yeah, he was half health and they killed him in like 5 seconds.
Yeah, before he went up to the first tower.
Yeah. So that looked pretty cool. I don't feel like that's going to be very useful in PvP. I would have much rather seen Shackle's idea of charging it and shooting it. But this is very useful for PvE, so I'm glad to see it have some utility there. I'm trying to think if there were any other exotics that were shown off. There was some things that Crimson. You're right, Crimson. It was really unique, the changes that they did to it, where like the third burst that you do, were they saying it does more damage?
I missed that one, honestly.
It was really like whatever changes they made to it to make it very competitive. They gave it a ton of range, I think, and they made it to where it was competitive damage wise somehow. It was kind of complicated because they ran into problems between like, well, is it like a pulse rifle? Is it like hand cannon? I think they changed the rate of fire a little bit.
They said they had issues with that one because if they changed it too much it became just a burst sidearm.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
but they wanted it to feel heavy basically and still like a hand cannon. So I think they slowed it down just a little bit. But I read some very interesting things that they didn't talk about or show off. But people have kind of hinted at it. And finally, some people compiled it on Reddit that masterworked exotics that are coming are going to have particular perks on them. They're not going to be like masterwork items for legendaries that we have now. They're going to extend something on that exotic weapon. So like for Vigilance Wing, they're saying it's going to have full auto if you masterwork it. Or for Crimson, it's going to have like max range if you masterwork it. So I thought that was interesting. Just it's particular to that gun, and it's not just like any other gun that you masterwork.
Yeah.
It makes me really excited to see what the other perks are for like hard light, for instance.
Wendler said the Reddit stuff actually broke the NDA.
Oh, well, there you go.
But now we can talk about it.
That's right. Well, we didn't sign an NDA, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so we're good.
Let's see. I'm pretty sure that is about it for everything.
The one thing I just want to mention then real quick is, we didn't talk about the summit at all. And I just want to point out that A, it's because none of us were there.
Yep.
B, it's because...
I don't know why you had to point that out.
Because, well, I'm not pointing it out to you. We have listeners. That's why we do this. God damn it. What was it? Oh. B, 3 of the people from DCP went, and they just did an entire episode where they pretty much just took questions on the summit. And I will sum it up for you. I would say go listen to it because it was very interesting. But to sum it up, and they even said this multiple times, they were only allowed to talk about what feedback they gave the devs and then their impressions. They couldn't give you any specifics. And pretty much every question that people said, was this discussed? Did you bring this up? Was yes. Yeah. So if there was an issue that has been talked about at all ever, it was brought up to the devs, and they left there. I know after listening to Dado, he was very, very, very skeptical. He'd even said on that episode, if you listen to it, that he was already prepared that if it seemed, commercialized and like dev talk and kind of beating around the bush, he was ready to just say like, I'm leaving. Like, this isn't worth my time.
Wow.
And he came out and he was like, I was very impressed. Now, it's still just encouraging. They can still say all the right things and not make them happen. But everybody that was there that I have talked to or heard is very, very encouraged. Somebody in chat did this last week has been refreshing, and I agree. They said everything was a very honest back and forth. Like, hey, we want to do this. What do you think? And then they were like, yes or no. And they were like, okay, well, how about this instead? And it was supposedly, very, very, very satisfying to the people that went. They heard a lot of the right things. Bungie seemed to have changed their tune and are being much more open. So that's pretty much all there is on the summit. That's why we didn't talk about it.
Yeah, I agree with you on all you said. You can go out there and look at the YouTube videos all you want of people who went. But yeah, it basically all says the same thing. Some people seemed a little, might say slightly variants of that. Like, for instance, I feel like MTash got me really hyped after he had some posts.
Well, there's a new game mode, speaking of that, MTash was talking about.
The what?
The new game mode we didn't mention.
Oh, yeah. Also, the emote wheel, we didn't mention that they showed off on stream. But real quick, MTash video that he talked about, he was like, there's stuff coming. Like, he was like, basically what I said. Warmind comes. If you like Destiny 2, you'll enjoy it for a little while, at least, at minimum. But really, September, he's like, specifically just hearing him. You need to go watch his video because he gets so excited. He's like, there's stuff in September that I can't wait. Like, I want to play it right now. Like, it's stuff that I'm so excited about. And that gets me hyped. Yeah. Like, even though I don't know anything about it, I just know MTash and the stuff he enjoys about the game, I really enjoy. So that gets me pumped.
Because you're a follower, not a leader.
Sure.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, everyone said the new game mode is super fun. We don't know anything about it, but that it's super fun.
Also, emote wheel is not a wheel necessarily. It's for from your D-pad, which isn't what we had speculated. We were hoping, I think, Hove, we had talked about in previous episodes, what if it was like one button and then you got a wheel so it freed up the other D-pad buttons, but it doesn't look like that's what we're getting. But I am excited that it's not just switching, like you switch out all of your stuff finally, and finally just having the freedom of having 4 different things to choose from is nice, but it's not massively huge. So yeah, that's that.
I guess there's also a congratulations to go out.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Good old Holtz.
Yeah.
Yeah. Patrick going out to Bungie finally.
Yeah. He got
officially
the position they had posted. I don't remember what it was called, but pretty much it's somebody that is super into Endgame and plays it, and he's going to be a gameplay specialist, I think is maybe the position.
I think that's the title, yeah.
So basically he's going to go out there and play the shit out of the Endgame and convey his opinion to them and help them with that. So yeah, if you're a fan of his, you probably already know that. If you're not, don't bother looking for him now as a content creator because he'll be busy for a few months. But congrats to Holtz, man. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Seriously, congrats. Like I love Patrick's stuff, his work, him on DCP, everything he does. Like he really deserves this. So I'm excited for him.
Yep. Okay.
Well, I think that's it for this episode, you guys.
Can I tell you about, since I don't have a Mad Lib and I didn't have penetration conversation penetration words because I woke up like just in time for the podcast. Can I tell you about my dream I was having when I woke up?
Yes, you can give me a short summary of your dream before we end the show.
Oh, I mean, it's very short because I don't remember any of it. I was playing hockey. I played for a hockey team professionally, I believe. And it was our first playoff game, I think.
Does it involve Tom Holland? Does Tom Holland come in the story?
No. But apparently I was like real good. I was like a rookie, but I scored my first goal right away. And then at the end, I got pissed and we had to stop the game because me and someone else were like about to pass the puck, and it wasn't a puck. It was a sandwich. And we were like. We both stopped, and like the refs and everyone looked at us. We were like, "The puck's a sandwich," and they were like, "What?" We were like, "The puck is a sandwich in a plastic bag. Like, we need a new puck." And they were like, "Oh, all right." And then I woke up.
Oh wow! Well, this has bbeen RezoCast episode 83. Thanks for joining us this week. We are now sponsored by Blue Microphones and Headphones, and we really appreciate them lending these to us. We'll be doing a giveaway we keep saying that, but we need to actually do it. We're going to do a giveaway soon, guys. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be for you podcast folks.
Maybe we'll do it the week of the
Warmind release.
The release, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I think we're on board for that.
So real quick, Country says late night talk shows, movies, and hockey playoffs. This is your brain on drugs.
Yes, this is RezoCast. Is what he means to say. Well, this has been Lego, aka Lego Lay Flash. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube at Lego LE Flash. Also, I forgot to mention Blue Microphones. Find their products on BlueMic.com. Use discount code RezoCast for 20% off.
That's a lot of money. Do it.
It is. You should do it. Hove, where can they find you?
On the ice, playing hockey with a sandwich.
With a sandwich.
I don't know, man. It was in like a Ziploc bag, so it had like fallen apart, and it was just kind of scary.
What kind of sandwich was it?
Fresh, like new?
I don't know.
Was it like
man.
a PB&J? Was it
no?
Like
there was tomato on it for sure.
Oh. BLT?
No, it was a bun. No. It wasn't bread. It was a bun of some sort.
Like a brioche or?
Kinda. I'm assuming what it was, since I had a sandwich today from a pub. It's called the Pub Chip Shop down on Carson Street.
Okay.
Piper's Pub. It's an English pub.
Yeah.
They have sandwiches. They call them BAP sandwiches, which, as I googled that, I believe that is the type of roll that they use in England. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Sounds like something else.
BAP, BAP. Anyway, it's delicious. I think that's what it was because I just had a sandwich in there. So
makes sense.
Was I supposed to be talking about anything in particular?
Yeah, where can people find you?
Twitter, Hove76, and twitch.tv/Hove76, which if you're here right now listening live, you're already here. If you're listening anywhere else, I love you.
Triton, where can they find you?
You could mainly find me on Twitter. I think trying to still doing YouTube and probably not so much Twitch, but all under Triton, please. One word, please, being PLZ.
You got to change it up a little bit, man. You sound like a robot.
Well, I mean, I did change it up saying that I'm not on all the 3 places because I was like, I want to be a little bit more honest this time. It's mainly Twitter.
Please being PLZ.
Well, it is. I mean, like, what else am I supposed to say?
Triton Pliz.
I mean, I guess, but like maybe some people assume that there's other letters in there.
True, yeah. Well, you can also find RezoCast at RezoCast on Twitter and on iTunes. Everything. We'd love for you to leave us a review. We've gotten some pretty awesome ones recently. So we expect you to, meet our expectations with that.
I have no expectations. I can't even wake up in time. That's where you can find me. You can find me on my couch.
You can find more about Team Resolute at Team Resolute on Twitter. And I think that's it for this week. Hope, do you have anything you'd like to add before you interrupt me at the end here?
I never, ever interrupt you.
No, he doesn't. Okay.
Oh, I do all the time.
Until next time, guys. GG.
What? Are we done?
GG's.